Alright, this is number 9 from page 124. Pause the video so that you can read the problem first to yourself. So let's get started. Brian earns twice as much each week as a tutor than he does pumping gas. So if he earns twice as much as a tutor, that means he earns more as a tutor. So his tutoring has to be double the amount from pumping gas. His total weekly wages are $150 more than that of his sister. So I'm going to add $150 to what his sister earns, and this represents his weekly wage. Now his weekly wage is comprised of what he earns from tutoring and from what he earns from pumping gas. Lastly, the sister, as she earns 1/4 or 1/4 as much as Brian does as a tutor. So here I have my 3 equations. Now I have to decide which of these 3 equations is my main equation to solve, and it's going to be the second one because it incorporates all 3. So now what I want to do is replace 2 of these variables so that I can have only one variable in one equation. And I noticed here that t is equal to 2g. So I can actually replace t with 2g. Then we have s is equal to 1/4 t. So I can replace s with 1/4 t. Now the problem that I'm seeing is that I still have 2 variables. I want to make it one variable. So either I replace g's with t's or the t with g's. Now it seems easier that I can replace this with 2g since it's already set up that way. So my new equation, I'm just going to simplify the left side, 3g is equal to 1/4 2g plus 150. Now this looks a little too busy, so let me simplify that. So my new equation is 3g is equal to 1/2 g plus 150. And in my solving now, I want to isolate my variables, so I need to get all my g's on one side. In order to do that, I need to subtract 1/2 g from each side. So here I'm going to have 2.5 g, but 2.5 g as an improper fraction is just 5/2 g. Again, I want to use improper because if I use a mixed number, it's just going to complicate my computations. And to solve for g, I just need to get rid of that fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. So my answer for pumping gas will be g is equal to 30 times 2, which is 60. Now you want to reread the question and make sure you answer it. It asks for how much Brian earns as a tutor. So if this is how much he earns as a gas pumper, I guess you can say, then he has to double that for his tutoring. So tutoring would equal $120. Add your units. Alright, let's move on to the second problem. Again, take a moment to read for yourself, pause the video, and then we'll start. Okay, here we have a roll of carpet 9 feet wide, which is 30 feet longer than a roll of carpet 15 feet wide. Both rolls have the same area. Make a sketch of the unrolled carpets. So let me first make that sketch. And it's not drawn to scale. So the first roll of carpet is 9 feet wide and is 30 feet longer than the roll of carpet that is 15 feet wide. So if the length is 30 feet longer, I'm going to do length plus 30, which would make this my original length. And this second carpet has a width of 15 feet. Now in this one it says both rolls have the same area. Now to find area is just the base times the height, otherwise known as length times width if you're working with rectangles. So to find the area of the first rectangle, it would be just 9 times 11 plus 30. Now make sure that when you're multiplying you keep your parentheses around 11 or L plus 30, not 11 plus 30, so that you don't distribute incorrectly. Here, base times height will just be 15L. So when you solve this, distribute that 9L plus 270 equals 15L. Isolate your variable and you're going to get 270 is equal to 6L. So length will equal 45 feet. Now the question is asking for the dimensions of each. So you would say the first carpet would be 9 by 45 feet, and the second carpet would be 15 by, oh sorry, messed that up. Let me erase. So L is 45, so that means that the first carpet, this one right here, its dimensions would be 9 by 75 because its length is 30 feet longer than the length of the second carpet. And the other carpet, this one right here, its dimensions would be 15 by 45. And you can check your answer by finding the area of each to see that they both have the same area. Alright, third problem. Go ahead and read it first, pause the video, then we'll go over it. So we have here in March, Rodney sold twice as many cars as Greg. So in March, Rodney sells twice as many cars as Greg. Now I'm not including March in the equation because it doesn't say March equals. It's saying that Rodney sold twice as many as Greg. In April, Rodney sold 5 fewer cars than he did in March, and Greg sold 3 more cars than he did in March. And they sold the same number of cars in April. So because they sold the same amount of cars in April, their amounts are going to be equal to each other. Now it asks me to find out how much they each sold in March. So here's my equation. Which of these two should I work with to find my values for each person? Now I notice here I have r minus 5 equals to g plus 3, but in my first equation, r is equal to 2g. So this is an easy substitute. So I'm going to use this to replace r in my second equation. So 2g minus 5 equals g plus 3. Isolate my variable, so I'm going to move g by substituting g from each side, and I'm going to add 5 to each side. I'm just going to do both steps at the same line. So g is equal to 8 cars. So Greg sold 8 cars in March, and because Rodney sold double that, Rodney sold 16 cars in March. Alright, moving on to the fourth one. Same routine. Please read, pause, then we'll go over it. Okay, we have the Upper Angel Falls are higher, have 750 meters higher than Niagara, and each of the falls were 7 meters lower. The Upper Angel Falls would be 16 times as high as Niagara Falls. So let's set up that first sentence in equation. So the Upper Angel Falls, I'm just going to write A for Angel Falls, are 750 meters higher than Niagara. So I'm going to add 750 to Niagara's height. If each of the falls were 7 meters lower, so this tells me this is my second equation, lower means to subtract. So if each of them were 7 meters lower, the Upper Angel Falls, this one, would be, so that tells you your equal sign, 16 times as high as Niagara Falls. 16 times as high as Niagara. How high is each waterfall? So because I have here in this equation already a substitution set up, A equals n plus 750, I'm going to take that and substitute into this second equation. So if A is equal to n plus 750, then n plus 750 minus 7 is equal to, and I'm just going to distribute, 16n minus 112. To solve, isolate your variable again. So n plus 743 equals 16n minus 112. And I think you can take it from there. And your answer should end up being Angel Falls is 807 meters high, and Niagara Falls is 57 meters high. So make sure that you finish the rest of the problem. Now these last three problems that you're going to see are just review, so you definitely don't need to watch this if you are comfortable with the word problems we covered at the beginning of the week. But if you do want to review, then please keep watching. So here we have Chandra has twice as much money as Nora. Nora has $6 less than Leon, and together they have 54. So let's see, we have three variables, so I should end up with three equations somehow. So Chandra has twice as much money as Nora. Nora has $6 less than Leon. So Nora has $6 less. I'm going to take away 6 from Leon's amount. Together, they all have $54. So Chandra plus Nora plus Leon equals 54. So noticing that this equation involves all three, that's going to be my main equation to solve. Therefore, I'm just going to use these two and substitute. Now, which variable do I want to keep? Well, it seems to make sense that I should either keep n or l. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to stick with keeping n. So if I keep n, since c is equal to 2n, I'm going to replace c with 2n. N is just n. Leon, I'm going to have to rewrite this second equation so that it's in terms of L equals. So L equals n plus 6. I just added 6 to both sides so that L is isolated. So if L is equal to n plus 6, I can substitute that in my equation here, equals 54. So to solve, combine your like terms. You're going to have 4n plus 6 equals 54. And you should be able to find out how much each person has from that equation. So here we have another one that involves, again, sketching or making a diagram so that you can visualize the problem. And it says the length of a rectangle is twice the width. So we have a rectangle. The length is twice the width. So this is the width. The perimeter is 84 centimeters more than the width. Perimeter is 84 centimeters more than the width. Make a diagram, find the dimensions. So since I've given perimeter, I know that my foundation equation will be 2L plus 2 widths equals the perimeter. So now let's just replace this so that I can have one equation with one variable. Since the perimeter is equal to 84 plus W, from here, I'm just going to substitute 84 plus W for P. Here, L is equal to 2 widths, so I'm going to substitute 2W for for length, and W is just W, so that stays. So now combine your like terms. We have 84 plus W is equal to 4W plus 2W. Combine your like terms, isolate your variable, and again, you should be able to find the rest of the answer. And for our last one, we have a boat weighs 1,500 pounds more than its motor and 1,900 pounds more than its trailer. Together, the boat and the motor weigh 5 times as much as the trailer. How much does the boat weigh? So if a boat weighs 1,500 pounds more than its motor, I can write that as an equation. Boat weighs 1,500 more than the motor and 1,900 pounds more than its trailer. So the boat weighs 1,900 pounds more than the trailer. Together, the boat and the motor weigh, so the boat plus the motor weigh 5 times as much as the trailer. 5 times as much as the trailer. How much does the boat weigh? So because, again, this equation involves all three variables, I can use that as my main equation and just substitute for the other two variables to keep one variable. So it's up to you to decide which variable you want to keep. If you want to keep B, M, or T. Now because I already have B is equal to M plus 1,500, I'm just going to rewrite that into my third equation. So this is just going to replace M plus 1,500 so that replaces b, plus m, that's already there, is equal to 5t. Now, here, again, I have two variables, and it's not letting me get rid of that one extra variable. So how can I get rid of that t? Well, the only other place where I see t as a variable is here. So if I rewrite the second equation, I can rewrite it as t equals b minus 1900. But if I do that, I'm still going to have, again, two different variables. So 5 is equal to b minus 1900. So how can I get this b now to be in relation to m? So if I look at the first equation, then I can replace b with m plus 1500. So for my final equation, I'm going to try to fit it on here. I'm going to simplify the left side. 2m plus 1500 is equal to 5 times, since b is equal to m plus 1500, I'm going to replace b with m plus 1500 minus 1900. And from there, you would distribute that 5, that's not an s, to each term, or you can simplify the 1500 minus 1900 and solve for the motor. And once you solve for the motor, then you can solve for the boats. So make sure you study these problems tonight, and if you have any further questions, email me or save those questions for the beginning of class tomorrow, and I'll see you then.